Hello, and welcome to Marathon Swim Stories, where we explore the human side of the superhuman feats of endurance swimmers and those who support them. I'm marathon swimmer and coach Shannon Keegan. A swimmer since childhood and Maltese representative in Athens Olympics, Neil Agius always talked about swimming around Malta. Eventually, his girlfriend got tired of him talking about it and told him to either do it or quit bringing it up. His first epic marathon swim, Neil describes the feeling of completing the 70-kilometer circumnavigation of his home island as intense. Even so, he wanted more. Just 2 short years later, Neil has successfully completed a 102-kilometer swim from Sicily to Malta, all the while creating a wave of change for a cause we can all get behind: cleaner seas. We talk about the importance of mental preparation, building a team, and so much more in this episode. Enjoy. Hey, Neil, good to see you today. What's your story?
And that's it, we've started.
And that's
it. Okay, so my story is I started swimming at a very young age. When I was 7, my mom sent me to swimming lessons, and it was mostly because I was super hyper at home. So I think it was more a case of, where am I going to send him? Let me get him out of the house. I need him out of my house so I can basically do my own things at home and be able to keep up with the housework and everything, I guess. And from then, I basically was quite good at it straight away, which obviously when you're young and when you're that age, it's fun to be good at something, you know? So I would just tell my mom, send me again. I want to go more. And from then it developed into me taking it up as a full-on sport. So as you know, swimming is quite intensive on your schedule. So before I knew it, I was doing 10 sessions a week and swimming lots of kilometers. And I was always a distance swimmer in the pool. I qualified for the Olympics in 2004.
Wow. What was that like?
To be honest, I was too young to actually understand what
How
it really
old were you?
I was 17.
Okay.
When I swam in the Olympics. It was in Athens in 2004, and I couldn't really understand what a big deal it was. I knew, but not as I would go if I had to go now, if you know what I mean, what kind of a stage it was. So I didn't get the most out of it, let's put it that way. I also took part in quite a few world championships in Barcelona and Melbourne, in can't even remember them all, in Dubai as well. There were a couple of others too. And then when I was 24, I kind of said, okay, I'm done with swimming. I've done everything I could. I had quite a few number of national records that I was holding at that time. And so I said, okay, I'm done. But I always said, like, I wanted to swim around Malta. That was one of on my bucket list.
How far is that?
That's 70 kilometers.
Okay.
And it was always something that I was keen on doing, and it took quite a few number of years till I actually got down to doing it. It was 7 years later when we were on holiday, me and my girlfriend, me and my partner, and I was telling her, like, I think I want to do it still, and she's like, listen, you're either gonna do it or stop talking about it.
Right, yeah.
And it was like, stop talking about it. And I think it was to prove a point to her why I did it. So then I hadn't swum for 7 years, and I trained for 6 months and swam around Malta.
Wow. So that was your first marathon swim? Yeah. 70 kilometers around Malta?
Yeah.
Wow.
And before that, the longest swim I had done was 10 kilometers.
Okay, wow. It's a big jump. What was the training like for that over that 6 months?
It was good, but it was very new territory. Like, so we didn't really have a program. I was my own coach, and kind of figuring out as I went along how or what would work best for something like that. And when the year of I swam around Malta was the year Wave of Change was born, which is now becoming a foundation this year, because we really thought that, okay, you're going to do this swim, you're going to get a lot of attention. I'm not the biggest fan of attention, so let's direct it towards something else.
Mm-hmm.
And when I decided in January, I knew straight away that I wanted to divert the attention onto a better cause than me swimming around the island. So I was thinking, what could it be? What could it be? And it took until March, till when I decided what the real cause is going to be, and it was to raise awareness about cleaner seas, to plastic, single-use plastic use, and from there, Wave of Change was born. But the way I've kind of finally had decided why to do it for this reason, it was my first night swim in March, first time swimming at night. Beautiful experience, so quiet, so blissful, really, 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 really nice experience. And just going in, can hear my hands entering the water. You could hear the propeller of a boat just 300 meters away, 400 meters away, and you hear it like it's right behind your ear. And then all of a sudden, I swam into a plastic bag that engulfed my head completely.
Oh my goodness.
And to say I lost 5 years of my life is an understatement, because I really, really did get a big fright, really big fright.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
And that was where I thought like the ocean was calling me out to be its voice.
Yeah.
So immediately I knew what the cause was going to be. Then we came up with Wave of Change, and 2 years later, we're becoming a foundation now.
Wow, that's fantastic. And so that was 2 years ago that you swam around Malta. No, it was your training for that swim.
Now 2.5 years ago, really. Now.
Okay. Wow.
And that was my first swim. And when I finished that swim, I was like, okay, this is interesting. Let's see if I can do more.
What did it feel like? Tell me what it felt like to finish that first big swim that you'd been thinking about for so long. What was that like?
It was quite intense, because I didn't realize how much of it would be a mental thing. So I was preparing myself physically, but not really mentally.
Yeah.
So I was quite grumpy for quite a few of the last part of it, so a good 30% of it. And I wasn't very happy in the water, but there wasn't any point where I was going to get out of the water. That's not an option. When I'm doing these swims, there's no file options abort, like that doesn't exist.
Doesn't
like
compute.
the abort button is blanked out, like it doesn't work. So it wasn't a question of stopping, but it wasn't as pleasant,
Right.
And I hadn't swam for a long time, so my shoulders were getting tired, and so it was quite intense, let's put it that way. But when I got out and I had the medics over there, and they checked my blood and my oxygen to the blood and my blood pressure, and they asked me, "Are you sure you're the guy who swam?" Because everything was perfect. So that was kind of got me thinking as well okay, I think I want to do more. And then from then, basically the year after, I wanted to do something a little bit less, so it won't be so intense, because it was quite intense, basically. So I swam around Gozo, which is our sister island.
Okay.
And that is 37 kilometers.
How much, you said?
37.
37, okay.
Yeah, and I did that in 10 hours and 2 minutes.
Wow. What was that like?
That was fine. It was good. It was
easy.
It was equally as hard, because obviously it was shorter, then I was trying to go faster, and then it became a bit of a different kind of swim, if you know what I mean. So it was still intense, but it was good. Then the plan started to swim from Sicily to Malta, and initially the closest point to point is 87. And when I had my first meeting with my team, I'm like, okay, I want to swim like 95 kilometers. I don't know how I came up with that number, but
just like pull it out of the air.
Yeah, let's go a little bit further up and further down. And my team's like, what do you mean? Like, it doesn't make sense. No one's going to know what you need to just swim from point to point. I'm like, no, let's swim from there to there. Like, that's where I want to swim from. and a lot of planning, and ended up with a team of 20 people to come with me. So I'm super lucky, and a lot of people support me so much in these swims, which make it easier for me. I mean, I always joke with them and tell them I have the easy job. I just have to put one hand in front of the other, and all you lot panic, worry, freak out, and do everything else for me. So I have the easy job, and they have the hard job. And a week before the swim, I was going through the list of the Marathon Swimming Federation, and I was like, if I add 5 kilometers, then I'm gonna jump quite a few spaces in the rankings.
No, 5 more kilometers.
Exactly. So I spent a week with them, with the team, trying to decide. I kind of knew it was going to happen, but they told me, think about it, sit back, think about it. You think 5 kilometers is nothing now, but an extra couple of hours after so many hours is not going to be easy. And I'm like, okay, I'll think about it. When really and truly, I knew it was always going to happen. Like, there wasn't anything. So, and then obviously I waited for a few days, and I'm like, guys, I really thought about it, but I think I'm going to do it. So they went back to the drawing board, trying to extend the swim, and here we are today.
Yeah. So tell us about that swim.
That swim was, I think, easier than around Malta.
Is that right?
Yeah, I was well prepared. I trained hard. I trained all the way through to COVID. When we were in lockdown, semi-lockdown, we never really had a full lockdown here, but it was a semi-lockdown. So I didn't really have work. So I was kind of a full-time swimmer, which kind of helped. But what was really tricky was that whenever we were trying to speak to the government or the officials to be able to get permits to do this swim, everyone would tell me, what do you ask? People are dying. We're trying to order ventilators. We're trying to do this. And you're asking me if you can swim from Sicily to Malta. It's like, no, you can't swim from Sicily to Malta. And I'm like, didn't take no for an answer. I let it be for a while, let it sit, and did all the training. And then obviously when all kind of Europe went into lockdown, then the cases obviously started going down. And then I'm like, okay, and it was really going down at the right time towards the beginning of June, mid-June. And then we asked again, and they said, yes, you can do it, because that's when the borders were starting to open again and the airports opened. So 2 weeks before the swim, I found out that I can do it, basically.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Good thing you'd been training, right?
I did everything. There was everything. I was tapering. That was on the easy parts. I did all my long swims, except that I completed all my training swims except for the longest one, which was, I did a training swim where I was going to swim from 10 p.m. till 10 a.m. And then I'm going to rest from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. and swim again from 10 p.m. till 10 a.m. And I didn't complete that swim because I did my first 12 hours. I rested for 12, went back to the sea, and it was way too rough. I got in and I was being thrown over. It was dark. There were jellyfish hitting me on my back. It was kind of everything. I couldn't see anything. So I had to stop. And so I didn't complete my longest swim. And my girlfriend was like, okay, when are you going to do this? Are we going to go next week? You're going to try again? And like, no, there's no time now. That was it. Like, and she's like, what are you going to do? I'm like, deal with it. There's nothing really I can do about it, And so it's pointless really thinking about it. But when these things kind of happen, it doesn't really get stuck on my mind. Yeah. It's kind of when I was swimming, I wasn't really thinking, I didn't do my longest swim, or I'm like, I forgot that I hadn't done that,
Right, exactly.
After that, for me to think about it, since then, it was gone. Oof. Yeah. But I did a lot more work on my mental side as well before this swim. A lot of meditating, a lot of sitting down in a room, just being still, doing nothing, thinking of nothing. And it really made a very big difference, So I was much calmer throughout the swim. I was enjoying it a lot more. I enjoyed it all the way through.
Oh, wow.
and I finished 100 kilometers in 28 hours and 7 minutes.
That's fantastic. Did you submit that one to MSF, to the Marathon
I,
Swimmers?
I just would finish doing the reports and everything. So I finished it yesterday, so I'm going to send it tomorrow.
Good.
I'm a bit relaxed with these things. But it will get there. There's no rush.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, no, of course not. Yeah, and you just finished that swim. Was it August?
In June, end of June.
End of June. Okay, I watched the video. I'll have to put a link to the video in the show notes for people. It's a great video.
There's a documentary about it. Yeah.
That's fantastic. Yeah. So do you recommend, I've talked to different types of swimmers about getting through that mental stuff. So are you one of those people who can kind of clear your mind when you're swimming, or do you? Yeah.
I mean, with me, it works with my hands entering the water. So it's the same repetitive movement. And then 2 minutes into that, I'm gone. I'm into a different kind of state of mind, I would say.
That's great. Tell us about the swim you're most proud of.
It has to be this one, yeah. I mean, it went really, really well. The team was fantastic. Everything, nothing else could have gone any better. You know, I was joking with the crew. I would like halfway through, they'll be having their lunch on the boat, and I stop and I'd be like, okay, can someone at least call someone, get me a pizza delivered by boat? And they're like, what? Or like they were panicking for a second. I'm like, I'm good with my juice, guys. I'm joking, you know. It's okay.
Yeah.
And another time, like when we were towards the end, maybe the last 3 hours, I told them like, guys, I'm really tired. I think I'm just gonna get out and stop.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, freaking, no, we're right there. I'm like, guys, I'm stop. Like, you know, so just having a little bit of fun with it as well. And there were tough points though. There were the night. And I'm a big fan of swimming at night. I really, really get into my own. I do most of my training at night because the sun is very strong here, and I have to work after my swims as well. So most of my swims will be start at 3 a.m. or then 2 a.m., then 1 a.m. Then as longer they get, I always finish at 10 a.m. And then it just keeps going backwards. So then I can carry on with my day, going to work and what needs to get done. So when I started the night part, I was fine. It was fine. It was good. But when it came to around 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning, I was in the water for 23 hours by then. And I started getting stung by jellyfish. I still have marks. I don't know if it's
oh my gosh, yeah.
Started getting bitten by jellyfish. My body temperature started to drop. Feeling cold. It was getting rough. It was so rough at a point that the boat, when it stopped, kind of turned a little bit, and I got disorientated of which way we were going, and I started swimming back to
Sicily.
And I'm swimming, and I'm like, all of a sudden I'm with the current, not against the current. So I'm like, oh, all right, I think we can do this. Like, and everyone on the boat is screaming and telling me to stop. And I was thinking they were telling me, go, go. And I'm very much with my team. Everything needs to be super chilled. Like, it has to be a calm atmosphere. Unless you're going to scream for the next 14 hours till we arrive, stop. So I stopped to tell them to shut up, basically, to stop shouting, or like, you know, like, relax, guys, it's good. We've got a long way to go. And they told me we're going the wrong way.
That's, yeah.
But yeah, so then basically those last hour and a half until sunrise came up, sunrise did save me. I mean, sunrise was a shift in everything, a shift in myself. As soon as the sun even came up a little bit, I was already feeling warmer. When you're that cold, anything, even if someone just blows some hot air, like that, you'd be like, oh, yes, it's warmer, you know? So
yeah,
that's a big shift. And then on the team principal, Simon had come up to me on the last 5 kilometers, and he's like, listen, if you push the last 5 kilometers, you're gonna swim a really good time. And I'm like I do it. He's like, yeah, do it. And I swam the last 4.5 kilometers in an hour and 10 minutes.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So you got a bunch left. You ready for more?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So then I think I'm definitely gonna do a longer one now. Let's just say it will take me over 40 hours. Nothing's been announced yet, but it should take around 40, 45 hours, depending on conditions.
Hmm. Yeah. Exciting. Very exciting.
Yeah.
Is that picture you
Um,
sent of you underwater, that blue, is that actually how blue the water is?
yep.
Amazing. That's so
Blue
cool.
it is.
I'll
Yeah.
have to put that I'll have to put that with your recording for sure. It's a beautiful picture.
It is. I had a really good photographer. Kurt Arrigo was the photographer, and he had his underwater cameras and had everything to get some really good shots. So
Yeah, that's
very
awesome.
lucky to have those memories. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Did you do warm feeds at night when you were?
Yeah, I do coffee and but my food was very basic. It was a juice,
Uh-huh.
one stop every 30. I'll stop every 30 minutes, every
Mhm.
29 minutes for 1 minute, and there's no changing it. There's no nothing. And one feed was a juice that was specifically made for me with a lot of high in calorie, carbs, protein. Like there's a lot in it, but it's just liquid food. And then the next one will be a slow releasing gel that I'll have. And then just a soft energy ball with some peanut butter in it, and then on repeat those three for 650 something stops. 50 something.
You don't get bored of eating the same thing?
It's not a priority. I don't need to, you know what I mean? For me, it's just feeding to do what I'm there to do, you know.
Mhm.
And if
Yeah.
these things give me the energy, then I don't need anything else. You know, I don't need this or that or the other thing or anything else. It just has to be you're there to do something, you know. So it's fine if I eat the same thing for a day. It's nothing bad's gonna happen, you know.
Right, right. Yeah. I'm curious though, if you do eat the same thing like all the time, like outside of the water.
No, no, then I would vary my food as much as possible. But
Yeah.
when I'm swimming, then that's what it is. That's what works. My stomach can handle it easily.
Yeah.
And it gives me enough energy. It's good that I have a mixture of things that works liquid food that I don't need to chew anything. I mean, the energy balls are soft. I can squash them with my tongue. So it makes life easier, you know. So I don't need to think about anything.
Yeah. It makes planning easier too, right? When you're
Yeah.
getting ready for the boat, you just like you could
Yeah,
calculate it
I
out.
mean, they have a schedule. It's 1-1-1-1-1-1. So there's no what do you want? What do you want next? Oh yeah, I'll have this and I'll have that. You know, that's out. There's
Where's my pizza?
no thinking about that either.
Right. Yeah. What do you do? How do you adapt kind of when the conditions get rough in the middle of one of those big swims? How do you tackle that?
I think it's just really not trying to blow it out of proportion of how bad it is one of the things. So yes, it's getting rough, but if you're going to start, your mind is going to go, it's getting rough. I can't, it's getting too tiring. I'm swallowing water. The water's coming over my head. I mean, you just have to kind of just shift your mind to something else. If you get
Yeah.
stuck in it, your mind can take you to very, very, very dark places, and it
Hmm.
can destroy you. It can wind you down completely. So I have some songs on that I would ask them to play at specific times that get me into a certain mood and into a certain mindset, and those are super important for me as well. So if I'm getting myself into somewhere, then I would tell them what song to play, and then that kind of so then the next stop I have, that will be the song playing, and as soon as that is played, then that triggers that emotion and my mind shifts out of it.
That's great. Yeah, good advice. How about your swimming technique? Has it evolved or changed since over
Mm,
time with having done the Olympics, whatever, you have a very long,
The
prestigious history?
way I work is that my speed goes according to the number of strokes I need to do. less than 50 strokes per minute. If I'm doing more than 50 strokes, between 48 and 50 strokes, then I'm going too fast. And that is one of the biggest problems people will do. They train so hard for a long distance event that the first 2-3 kilometers of it, they basically have all this energy because they're like, oh, yes, let's go, boom, I can do this all day, all day. And then all of a sudden, it smacks you in the face, boom, no, you can't do this all day. You are going way too fast, you know? So the people on the boat will be counting my strokes and will be telling me to slow down and make sure I'm in this bracket of stroke counts.
Yeah.
And that makes all the difference. And that's how I know what speed I will be going at as well. Because we just have a stopwatch on my hand that obviously I just count the strokes while I'm swimming, and that will tell me how fast I'm going in my head, you know, more or less what speed I will be going at.
How's the pandemic been for you?
It's been okay, I guess. I mean, it's tough with work. I have my own swimming school, so I give swimming lessons as my job. So obviously with the children, it's been a little bit iffy jiffy. They haven't been really allowed to come to the sessions, or parents aren't feeling too comfortable about that happening. So it has been okay though, I guess. I mean, we can't really complain. It's for us, I think it's about surviving, not making money.
Yeah.
You know, so as long as we're surviving, I can live with very little. I don't really need any materialistic things in my life. I just have my sea, have some things at home, and I'm not really like too fussy that I need to have these lavish things or anything that is too extreme, you know.
Yeah. Not familiar with the stats for Malta, but have you guys are you guys able to like control the outbreak there?
We've been super lucky. I think we're like in this little bubble over here because the weather has been so good all winter as well. We can always meet somebody outside, and if you have friends over in your house, you can open a window and the air circulates a lot more.
Yeah.
So we've never actually gone into a full lockdown. At the moment, the bars are closed, but we still go to work. We're limited with numbers in restaurants, limited with numbers around certain areas and whatnot, and we're not allowed to gather in groups of more than 10 outside.
Okay. Yeah.
Apart from that, it's business as usual. So I think we're in quite a bubble compared to at least the rest of Europe. Let's say that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. That's good to be on an island sometimes.
Yeah.
How about, so shifting back to swimming, what motivates you to keep going? What makes you want to keep pushing distance?
For me, I think it's become a personal challenge to myself. And from these swims and with Wave of Change, we really created a movement of inspiring people to do more, to want to be more, what's the word I'm looking for? More active, and they want to care for the environment more. We have like this campaign where people pick up 3 pieces of plastic, post it online, and another 3 people do it, and it really picks up nicely when we're at the peak of the swim. And then even till today, from the swim, when people go into cleanups, they tag our page and Wave of Change and always asking us for advice. So it feels like it's my duty, and I will be selfish not to do more. If I have the ability to do these swims, and these can inspire a nation and can make people want to be better than for themselves, be better for everyone around them, then I think it will be selfish for me not to do them.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I love that Wave of Change. Can you tell people how they could get involved?
Can I just go stop my dog from barking one second?
Yes, sure.
We can't do this. No out. She's driving me nuts. Sorry, but she was driving me nuts.
Yeah, no worries. I understand. You're not the first person I've interviewed who's had a dog barking in the background.
She's the best, most quiet dog always until she sees me giving my attention to someone else, and then it's me, 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 me.
Okay. So getting back to Wave of Change, how can people find out more about Wave of Change or be part of it?
There we have our website, waveofchangemalta.com, and basically you could sign our pledge form, which will help you, inspire you to commit to picking up the 3 pieces of plastic, and also become like this plastic police, where if you see someone else littering, it's your duty to go and tell them, listen, this is not the right way to dispose of what you're doing, and there's other ways, and educate each other. And this is what it's all about. Everybody educates each other. We do not do any crowdfunding or pick up any donations from individuals, from people, because what if you have to come up to me, how can I help you? How can I give you money? And for us, it's give us your time. We don't want your money, we want your time. So your time is to pick up 3 pieces of plastic and hashtag Wave of Change and create a movement like that, rather than always asking people for money. It's their time is more precious.
Right? Do more.
Yes.
Fantastic. Tell us a little bit about what it's like putting together a big crew like that for a big swim.
Yes. Well, it's Gordon who is kind of the one who helps me with the logistics side of it. It's him who's the one who helps me create this team that I have now. Because for me, it's like, oh, let's just grab a boat, go there, swim, and we'll figure it out as we go along. Yeah. But my risk assessment to myself isn't the greatest. But then Gordon is like, no, we need to have a navigation team, and then we need to have 2 other boats, where one of them is going to have the people on it who are going to prepare your food, who are going to drive the sailing boats, and then there's the other boat where there'll be this crew swapping, because if it's going to be 28 hours, we need the driver to be focused. So every 2 hours the driver changes, every 2 hours the motivator changes, every 2 hours the observer changes, and every 2 hours the feeder changes. So everyone has a shift and everyone has a role, and people getting the boats, transferring them from one to the other, and there's a lot happening. So there are 2 doctors, so they can be on shift as well. I think it's one of the keys to have a team, and to the more groundwork you do before the swim, apart from the training with the logistics, with the weather routers, with creating the perfect space, then your base is bigger. So when you go up and you do longer swims and longer, then you're much steadier on the top. And if you don't prepare, then you have a very narrow base, and then when times get tough, then it starts wobbling. But yeah, my team is, for me, is my biggest asset for sure.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Have you had the same people on your team for each of your swims?
No, the first swim around Malta, the team was much smaller. And now this one is the one where kind of we expanded it, and now kind of this is the team. And this is another reason why I want to do another swim next year straight away, because I have the team, I have everyone in place, I have everyone ready, gearing to go. I'm ready to go. If I say I'm going to take a year of swimming slowly to do it next year, so I'll be more fresh, more alive, you don't know what's going to happen in another year's time. So
exactly, yeah.
Now's the chance, take it, let's go.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Let's shift a little bit to how can we include more people in marathon swimming? Or I don't know, how do you recruit people even for your swim school?
For my swim school is mostly learn to swim, and then I would obviously have the fitness classes and the ones who actually do open water and whatnot. I think it's just making it fun and not making it so serious, and having a laugh during the session. There's when we need to work hard, we work hard, but the other time, let's have a laugh, let's have a giggle, let's do relays. Let's not make it always about being better. Let's make it about building a community. And once you build that community, then they come for the coffee after the session to have the coffee with them for the session. But at least they come to the pool, whichever reason it's for. At least they come to the right place. So yeah, that's what we have, a really nice group of adults who really come to have a community. And once you build that community, then the community will grow and grow and grow, because they want to go and tell their friends, listen, we do this, it's so much fun. We go for coffee after, we pretend to go to work, and then we go swim again. And I think that's the key to it becoming more popular, and always safety as well when they're going in to swim in the sea, that it needs to be a safe environment, and don't let anyone do what they're not ready to do.
Yeah.
One, you don't look good as a coach, and two, they don't look good or won't be happy and won't come back. That's my one rule to them. I'll never make you do something I don't think you're capable of,
Yeah.
because you push them and they might not think they're capable of doing it, but if I think they're capable of doing it, then they can do it. But if someone comes to tell me, like, I want to swim a 40-kilometer swim, a 50-kilometer swim, a 10-kilometer swim, and they're not ready, or a 2-kilometer swim, they're not ready, I'm like, listen, it's not happening. Like, there's no way that's happening. Or else if they want to swim at 2 and I tell them they're ready to swim at 10, then I'll make sure that it happens.
Yeah.
So always keep them within their limits. Don't make them do anything they're not capable of.
Yeah, that's good. That's good advice. And just kind of expanding on that advice, what advice would you give to aspiring marathon swimmers?
Aspiring marathon swimmers is really, like I mentioned before, work on the mindset of it all. I think it's in a long swim, the physical part comes and it's 100%, but you know exactly what's coming, you know exactly how you're going to feel, and that's it, 100%. When it comes to your mind, there's no limits. You could be trained and physically ready, but if in your mind you're not, then it will break you down. So you really need to take both of them hand in hand and really see what works for you, what you can do to control your mind and be able to not let it run away with you. I think that's one of the biggest things for if you really want to go for long swims, then that's what you need to do. And you need to know how to entertain yourself as well. It's important.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. That's good advice. Yeah, how to entertain yourself. I don't think I've heard that one before. I've asked this question to a lot of people, but I don't think anyone said you got to know how to entertain yourself, but it's very true.
Yeah. Content, happy to be with yourself.
Yes, for sure. What marathon swimmer has inspired you?
There are quite a few, I would say. Mostly it all started from pool swimmers. Like when I was younger, Michael Klim from Australia, and all these were really like my idols, I would say. And then when I stopped, I kind of still followed, but not so much. And then I had the opportunity to do these or longer swims. And then there's the Adam Walker, he is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, him. Yeah, he's one that really, the way he swims, nice and long and slow. It's very similar to how I like to swim. With just a long stroke, slower for longer is my motto. And also the four-way crossing of the English Channel. That's a very special swim. I mean, in that cold, to do that, wow. Good job. Well done. She's awesome.
Yeah. That's a good list. I think I don't really have any other questions for you. Anything else you want to tell us?
Yeah, maybe I'll tell you a funny story that when I was I'll give you one more funny story.
Yes, absolutely.
When I was swimming from Sicily to Malta, obviously we're crossing between two islands that you can't see the other one when you're swimming, when you're basically halfway through or whatever, you can't see anywhere. Yeah. And so I was swimming and I'm like, okay, so this is during the day, still a bit fresh, feeling still a bit active. And I'm like, okay, so the shark has to come now. And there's a shark in the sea, because there are sharks in the sea that I was swimming in. So it could easily happen. And I'd say, okay, I'll just remain calm and I won't move. And if he decides to kind of attack me, then I'm going to stay there. And the last second, I'm going to dodge it, move, poke him in the eye, and keep going. And then when the nighttime came, I'm like, I can barely see my hand in front of me because it was so dark. And I'm like, okay, if he comes now, I'm probably going to be in his mouth before I can actually move. So yeah, that was something that came to my mind while I was swimming.
Yeah, so when you're thinking about sharks and you're in the middle of the ocean, how do you and you've okay, so you're in the light, you know you're gonna attack back.
Yeah.
In the dark, he's gonna get you. How do you stay calm?
Um, Basically, there's not much you can do at night. I mean, it's so you kind of like you're in it. There's no abort button, like I said. There's no fire options abort, so there's not really much to do. I might try and, joking apart, what I try and do is, like I said, there's the music that really helps me shift my mind. And if I'm thinking about that, okay, so it's time to count your strokes. Have a look and see what time the stopwatch is on. Count to 50 strokes. Okay, we're good. What else are we going to do? Have a look and see what they're doing on the boat as well. You're looking at them the whole time. So
Yeah.
see what they're up to. Basically take your mind off it, and before you know it, the thought is gone and left, and you're still swimming. And a few hours
Until
are
it comes back, right? Then you go through it, repeat.
that,
Oh man, thank you so much for sharing your story today, Neil. Oh, and pronounce your last name for me, just right now.
juice. Neela
Say it again.
juice.
Jules. Okay.
Neela juice. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you
Cool.
again. I really appreciate your time. It's been awesome to hear your story.
Really awesome. Thanks, Shannon, so much.
All right. I'll send you a link when it's done.
Yeah, cool. Thank
Okay.
you so much. It's been
You're
real
welcome.
fun. Bye.
Bye. I hope you enjoyed today's interview. Do you want to take Marathon Swim Stories with you? Subscribe on your favorite podcast provider. Want to connect with like-minded limit pushers? Join us for Marathon Swim Stories live on Tuesdays at 5:30 a.m. Pacific, 8:30 Eastern, 13:30 GMT. Thanks for watching.